أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
पनाह मांगता हूँ अल्लाह की शैतान मरदूद से।
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
अल्लाह के नाम से जो रहमान और रहीम है।
औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला रसूलिही खातिबिन नबिय्यीन व आलिहि तय्यबीन अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। Brothers and sisters of Islam, welcome to this program of Faith Forum. Today, to discuss an issue of creating a cohesive young force who believe in peace, love, and care of mankind. A very small or a very wide topic, as you may see. And to discuss this, I am very fortunate to have two guests with me who belong and work for tirelessly an organization called The Feast. The Feast is a Christian voluntary organization based in the city of Birmingham, working tirelessly, as I said, to bring young minds of all culture, color, religion to work together for one goal, one purpose, is understanding each other's faith, culture, and building brick upon brick into a cohesive, strong society that brings peace, love, and smile to people's heart, mind, and face. To discuss that, from this organization are two great personalities, two great people here. Tim Fawcett, sir, welcome to this program.
Thank you for having us.
And Brother Naheem Khan, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to this program.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you for sparing and making time for this program. I would like to start off with that when it comes to interfaith dialogue, work, meetings, conferences, and even program like this on Hidayat TV called Faith Forum, people say, Tim, it's a waste of time. And then people say, what can you do it? This fight and infighting and quarrels have been going on for centuries. They have never resolved it, then how can they resolve it? And today, it's nigh impossible. I sit here every week to tell the people it's never impossible. It's very possible. And great work that has been done in this city of Birmingham, in this country, United Kingdom, people like yourselves have paid great dividend. Tim, you disagree or I hope agree with me?
Wholeheartedly agree. In a city like Birmingham, we can enjoy food from all around the world. We can enjoy colour and culture from all around the world. But through healthy dialogue, through healthy relationship building, we can enjoy friends from all around the world. And we're standing here as two friends from different cultures and faiths that work together with young people from different cultures and faiths, and we want to see them form real friendships that mean that we stand up for each other and we support each other through thick and thin.
Brother Naheem, for every work we do, there is a price to pay, and the way I put it, for every price we pay, there is something we buy, we purchase, we gain, sometimes voluntarily, sometimes, with hard work, that where blood and perspiration is needed, but the reward is really very, very satisfying, especially working in a country and a city which is ethnically so much multicultural, multi-faith. When you started off, do you think it would be elementary, easy task, or was it difficult?
See, myself, I was born in Birmingham. I'm what they call original Brummie.
Yes.
So I've born here. For me, Birmingham is home to me than anywhere else in the world. So young people needs to come together and actually to build peace and bridges. And in terms of price to pay, there's always something to gain. Price is not something that you can actually put a figure to. It's like when you try to accumulate wealth, you can't stop because there's nothing to say, that's it, wealth is accumulated. So this is our work where we bring young people together. They come together, they share what they enjoy about themselves, their life, their faith, their everyday. So they all come together and they share, and becomes friendship. And then after friendship becomes this change, and the change is the person themselves. It's not about changing somebody else. A change always starts with the person themselves. So we at the feast, we bring young people together from different faiths, backgrounds, cultures, for them to become friends. And when they become friends, then they have a relationship, they becomes deeper, and then there becomes change. So it's an ongoing thing which will spread everywhere. Tim is a very good friend of mine. We work together. He's also lives around the corner from where I live. So we know each other, we spend time together, and it's all about knowing who you are and who everybody else is.
MashaAllah. As Brother Tim, our brother name here says, it's a street, and as I say it, often, or more or less always, there are different faces across the street. If that is street, if there is peace and harmony, then the windows open and we face each other. Then we wave to each other. And God knows, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, if we are facing each other and if there is peace and love and harmony, God knows whether Brother Naeem here will offer his plate of curry or bowl of curry to you, and you share your lovely chocolate cake with him. And if there is no peace in that street, then the doors are bolted, the windows are shut. The little children who used to play kickball on the street, they are hidden inside. So what a great source of aspiration to strive towards that peace that will allow the doors and windows not to be shut but open, that will allow hearts and minds to be open and not shut, and that can happen only by understanding each other.
I think there is fear of people who are different to you. So when I arrived, I'm not from the UK, I'm not an original Brummie, I'm from Australia. And when I arrived in my street, I must admit that there were nerves, there was fear of people I didn't know, people who I'd not met, people who I'd only seen through the media or through my own cultural lens. But when I arrived in my street, my own neighbours arrived with food. My neighbours are Pakistani Muslims who welcomed me with friendship to my street. And yes, you're spot on. They give me curries and we give them cakes. My children play with their children. We do things for their family and they do things for our family. We welcome them into our home at Christmas and they welcome us into their home at Eid. And so in my own street, which is where Naheem and I live, we have different cultures, nationalities and faiths who are loyal and supportive of each other. And that is our hope. We work for an organisation that wants to see that become normal, to help teenagers go through that process of overcoming fear with real, honest friendships that don't sacrifice what we believe, don't sacrifice our beliefs and the things that we hold dear, but enable us to live peacefully and happily with people that are of different cultures and faiths.
For example, let me take you back to the country that you came here from. There were immigrants from different parts of the world. There were a people who inhabited that great Australian continent, the Aborigines of Australia, who had lived in peace amongst themselves. But when, within inverted comma, an alien group of people came in, some came with the banner of peace, but a lot did not come with the banner of peace. Today, there are places in Australia, for example, where they all live and work together. But today, even today, there are areas which is segregated, which has got ghettos. But Tim, it is not just happens in Australia. It is I travel and I find that in America. I even travel to our part of the world and see the divide. Sometimes the divide is between the rich and the poor, between haves and have-nots, between upper class and lower class, between upper caste and lower caste, and create these divides. And one of the greatest thing or challenges of the modern time is that if we talk about the world as a global village, then how can we have a village with walls and divides from us? How can we break that barrier, bring down those walls, bulldoze those ramparts and parapets, and let my audience listen to you? How can we do it now in this modern day and age?
I'd say there's nothing wrong with communities living together. So if in this city there's nothing wrong with a community being white or black or
Irish
Asian,
or Italian.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with us congregating around our cultural group because of the same language, the same food, the same practices. The danger is when we don't know how to cross the boundaries. If we don't have the confidence, or no one's shown us, or no one helps us. So what our organisation does is helps young people come from their different ghettos, their different communities, to come together in a safe environment where we let down some rules about how you operate together. And what we teach them to do is to share the best of their faith. What we're good at doing is saying the problem with your faith is, or the problem with your community is, and we poke fingers. But what we teach young people to do is to share the best of your faith and let your friend share the best of their faith. And through that, we often share some things that we agree on. So there are things that we share, the best of our community, the best of our faith, that are very similar. But there's some things that we disagree on, but we leave those aside and celebrate the things that we do agree on. And that means that we actually find things that we can do things together in our community to make it better. So what our work is about is teaching people to share the best of their belief system and their culture, and let their peers share the best, but not let anyone criticise someone for the things that they disagree on.
Do you agree with him or totally disagree with him?
I
agree with him.
I absolutely agree.
Yes, but why do you agree with him? Let me have your...
No. It's about, it's a one planet. We all live together. We all live in the same area, whatever. It's about sharing. It's about caring about each other and understanding each other. It's not a matter of saying, I live here, you can't live here. It's about loving your neighbour, about looking after your neighbour. In Islam, it actually says you need to look after your neighbour regardless of what religion they are. You need to look after them, care for them. It doesn't mean that because they're a different religion, you don't talk to them, you don't say hello to them or share your stuff with them. So at the feast, we bring young people together to actually bring them closer together so that they can share the good things about themselves, their faith, their culture, and become better friends and actually live together in peace. And it makes everybody stronger. You look at any area in Birmingham where there is peace. It's a nice area, it's a nice place to go to. I've just recently come back from Ireland yesterday. There's a lot of stigmas which is attached to Ireland and about everything that's happened. I've just come back from there yesterday. Beautiful place where everybody is going to meet other people. Beautiful place to go because the people respect each other. So if you live in an area where there's people from different cultures, you actually learn yourself about other people, about their cultures and their identity, as well as sharing yours as well. And like Tim was saying, rightfully so, you shouldn't say to anybody that you are wrong or that is not right about your religion. It's not for us to judge anybody. It's for Allah to judge, not for us.
What we often say is, I can criticize my own mother, but you can't criticize my mother. And the same way that I can criticize Christians for their lack of love, for their lack of compassion towards their neighbours, to their lack of friendliness to people. So what is it? It's not my job to criticize another faith or community for their lack of behaviour that is healthy, peacemaking, community building. That's my job to do that within my own community. In the same way for Naheem, Naheem is the person who will challenge his own neighbours, encourage his own neighbours to be more neighbourly, more friendly, more peace-loving, and I'll take responsibility for my community. It's one of the ways that we can improve our communities is if we create an ability for people to think about their own prejudices, their own fears, their own negative views or stereotypes they have of others, and we challenge that in ourselves and our own communities, rather than me saying the problems with a community group, a nationality, or a faith. So we actually, together, by being friends, by being honest with our own views and our own communities, we can help our own communities get on better together.
Brothers and sisters watching this program, come on, if you have your own views about community relations, interfaith dialogue, about how to live in a village, in a town, in a city, in a country together, or do we have to speak the language of Mr. what's his name, Chowdhury, who spoke on the television on the streets of London, demonstrating that he wants his Sharia law, his this, I want my law, I want my religious faith and Sharia in there, I want this, I. Brothers and sisters, time has come when we do away with that and work in a dialogue where the word we, us, all together, that come in. Mr. Chaudhary will build walls, erects division, and Tim and Naeem here will bulldoze their walls, their pride, their ego, their superiority complex in their self, in their faith, that they are the only ones who are better and all are destined to doom and destruction. Faith forum is essential. Faith, interfaith dialogue is a must. It is like cooking a great dish and forgetting to put salt in there. No matter how beautiful the ingredients and good are, without that taste of salt, it is useless. Tell me, which costs dearer, the diamonds that we mine or the salt that we put in our food? This will bring taste, increase our appetite, and build our body and mind. The reason for having Tim today and Kim today is they come from two different religions. In fact, one, far away down under, and one Birmingham lad brought up in the city. let me ask them not so easy a question. We saw young person, what he did in street of London, a British soldier who played in a band, played music for the pleasures of everyone, lost his life, devastated his wife and children who have lost the lamp, the light, the brightness in their lives, right? Like you two young people, the one who carried out this act was also a young man, but a young man with delusion, with nothing inside, delusion, division and destruction, right? We must reach out to those community in London who are facing the what you call anti-ethnic marches that is taking place in reply to the atrocity done. But can we do it in isolation, or shall we approach everyone, even those who do not believe in this sort of peace and dialogue?
I think what's really sad is that the media focuses on the extreme Muslim community and the extreme white community with the English Defence League in this country. But the majority of our communities have done remarkably well since that very, very sad event in London. To see a mosque in York handing out cups of tea to an EDL protest.
Can I, if you don't mind, just let me take a call and see what the listeners or what people watching their views are. Assalamu alaikum. Hello.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Basman speaking from Glasgow.
Yes.
And today your topic is youth and power of peace. And I want to talk to you about this. That youth is like a rubber, and it flows, and if you don't stop it properly, it flows out and damages everything. And if you do stop it properly, then it will help in agriculture and in your life. And if we see, like in China, they help themselves, like after Mao Zedong and Chen Lao, they help themselves by putting the old generation back and then bringing forward the new generation and telling the new generation are helping to bring China forward and everything. So if we use the youth properly, then the youth will help us. But unluckily for us, we in Pakistan, our leaders are using the youth for their own goods, and they're not using them for the country's good, and that's why Pakistan isn't as great as it could be, and Muslims are falling behind the rest of the world. Thank you.
That's a young gentleman's view from Scotland. Thank you very much for ringing, and I appreciate your view, and we shall come back to that. But it is not just beheading of an English soldier here. As you say, we who are on television and newspapers and editors, we are also at fault on not highlighting and working towards this goal. Let me show you, I hope we have a clip of today they beheaded, or they took the life of a soldier here. Similarly, not in one, but I don't know, 5, 10s, hundreds of people in Syria were mercenaries from outside, have all come in from different countries to get rid of the dictatorship of the Syrian regime. I never give comfort to dictators. They have no right to rule with barrel of a gun on your people. But they have come in from Libya and other places of the Arab world, and it is Muslims and Muslims. It is not Christians. It is Muslims and Muslims who are beheading the soldiers of the opposite side, who are, till 2 weeks ago, they took the dead soldier, and on the television they had it videoed. They cut his heart open and they took a bite at his liver and heart, right? And I want to show you that and prove to you there was hardly any mention of it, hardly any condemnation of it in not only the British press, not only the European press, but also nothing was said about it, condemning it in a very strong terms, even in the Muslim press, Muslim television, not only in this country, but from Arabia to Algeria, nobody did it. And I haven't got the clip, but if you go onto the internet, you will be able to see it on YouTube. Nobody condemned it. We said to ourselves, and even whether it is BBC or Times or Guardian, they thought the fire is burning away in Syria. Let them behead their soldiers and their enemies. Let them dig the graves of saints and Sufis and take them out of the grave, right? Let them bulldoze the grave of the people. They burned churches in Syria. And I think I have a clip of a church, of a church being destroyed in Syria. What we thought, what was the duty of the British press? To condemn it as much as we can, as you can see that, Tim, that was a beautiful church in Syria. They destroyed it, but because it is the political situation, because the politicians are making heyday out of this destruction, if they destroy a church today in Damascus, tomorrow they will do the same thing in Copenhagen or Amsterdam or Paris. Will it not happen even tomorrow in Birmingham or Bristol? When it happens, then we say, no, Islam is bad, Muslims are bad. No, if the world condemns it in what voice, if the world says it is terrible act to commit, then we can stop those atrocities by condemning it, by joining hands together and speaking with one voice. Because of the political gain to be made, we shut our eyes, close our mouth, plug our ears and think it will not happen. Had we condemned the atrocities happening in the Syrian on other fronts, where I cannot say my Christian or the Jewish people are killing Muslims and Muslims. No, I condemn it because it is Muslims killing Muslims, and the rest of the Muslim world, and let me say, not the Christian world, are clapping hands. Go on. He is Arab, he is Shia, he is Sunni. We are divided them into sections and we play the drums and say we are the winners. Had all the Muslim leaders of the Muslim nation joined and said, no, we wouldn't allow this to happen on our soil, then perhaps that loony person who was brainwashed by the mullahs, whoever they were, he wouldn't have committed that atrocity in the streets of London. If we take care of the fire burning the bushes 10 miles away, then perhaps wind will not blow in that direction to engulf our own houses that we live in so peace. Therefore, the work you people do, Tim, and Naheem, you do, it is to keep the fire not in the enemy, neighbor or faraway treaty, but today, tomorrow, that fire can catch our land as well.
The world is a very complicated place. Young people, we work with 12, 13, 14-year-olds here in Birmingham. They are affected by what happens around the world. So either their families or their community watches the TV, reads the paper, has history that sometimes affects their behaviour. And they'll say that all Christians do this or all Muslims do this. But what we hope that they do through our work is that they meet a Christian or a Muslim and they say, well, not all Christians are like that, or not all Muslims. We've worked with Sunnis and Shias, and we've gotten Sunni young people from here who've met a Shia and said, they're not what I thought they were. They're actually a friend. They're a person I know by name and someone who I want the best for. We, in our little project, in our little part of the UK, can't do much about the problems of Syria. They break our heart. We hate seeing what we read in the newspaper. But what we do want to say is that young people can become a voice for peace and can have the skills to stand up for friendship and for the peace that needs to happen, even though they might be 13, 14, 15-year-olds. It's going to take a lot of young people that we work with to get that to become normal in our places of worship, in our families, in our communities. But if we keep working with them, if we keep helping them and introducing them to people who are different to them, then that's a long-term investment in that work around the world. I don't want any mosque in this city, I don't want any community of a faith to be attacked for petty, short-sighted, ignorant criticism. And in the same way, Naheem would defend my church against attacks because of a small number of people from our community. We want to invest in young people in this country and hopefully around the world that help them to meet people who are different to them and learn to become friends, because that's the only way that long-term peace is possible. I do wish people like yourself and in the media and politicians the best as they challenge injustice, because it's important that injustice is fought against and that people who are innocent are defended and their justice is pursued. But in terms of creating a generation of young people who can say that peace is possible in my time, it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of foundational work to help them to do that. And that's, I guess, what our work is striving to do in a small way from this city and outside.
Brother Hakim, one sentence spoken at the right time, at the right place, with the right motive, can have an impact worldwide. The woman who was in the street, the lady, when these loonies, brainwashed so-called Muslim fanatics, stood with knife with blood on it, right? She had the courage. She had the courage to go and face him and say, look, in this act you are alone. Right? There are a lot of us together with one voice. We condemn this. Give me that weapon. Why cannot we approach the member of parliaments from Birmingham, where we live, or you live, and every other city, and say, why can't you speak the language of that lady who spoke on the streets of London? Why can't you speak that language in the Mother of Parliament in London and let the world know that as she condemned and didn't condone that riotous act of a hooligan, of a despot, of a mad mind, a drained brain, why can't that speak that language? It is no good to sit in Parliament being elected, getting a hefty pay and privileges. They are our voice. They should be speaking with our voice. They should be speaking with our feeling, because what we speak in the streets of Birmingham, it is that language our MP should be speaking. What do you say to that, Hakim?
Yeah, I think what it is, the people who are elected, they're elected by the people. So everybody votes for them to be their voice. So what everybody should do is, if you have anything that you want your member of parliament to say, you need to tell him. Tell them, this is what I want you to say, because they represent you. They represent everybody. Your listeners are sitting here because we vote for them. So you need to say to them that this is what we believe in. This is what we say as a community, as an individual as well. And tell them they have to represent your views. It doesn't always mean that they should agree with you. They can disagree with you, the member of parliament. But as a collective, then you need to tell them. And there's many ways of doing it. And united, we can do it.
Super. What do you say to
We should also celebrate when there is good. Too often the media or politicians have knee-jerk reactions and say we need to do more about the extremism. There was so much good reaction from the faith communities in the UK at that event. I was starting to mention before a mosque in York that gave tea to a far-right English Defence League protest. A remarkable sign of a gesture of peace. The Muslim community showed itself up well on the whole in the UK, because it distanced itself from the loonies, and it said that we are people of peace in this country. We want to live and express our faith in a safe way, but we don't want to be represented by the minority that claim to represent us. In the same way that the Christian community wants to be able to represent people who are of faith and who have a role to play in this country, who don't represent the military forces that supposedly bear our name around the world. And that process in this country, I think politicians and the media should celebrate all the good that the communities of this country are doing, and not just be worried about the small minority that gets so much press for such a little proportion of the community. Because there was a lot of good that came out of that event last week that I hope will be a good legacy for the future of this country, and not just focusing on the desperately sad events that did happen.
At the feast, when we had the toffee apples and jalebi, that was where young people went onto the streets of Birmingham when EDL were protesting. Young people gave out toffee apples and jalebis to people, just to say that this is what we do. We share food, we share things, so that it brings people together. And one of the main things is, and it's nothing to do with because we're called the feast, but food is something that brings people together. It just unites people. Even if it's a cup of tea with somebody who's protesting outside your place of worship, invite them in. It actually says on most places of worship, everyone welcome, please come in. Please go in, have a look, see what's happening in there. And by offering, you know what I mean, as the first person who offers something to say, come, we come in peace and come to us, it's all it takes is just one person to do that, and it brings everybody together.
I worship at a church in Sparkhill, Moseley, and over the road from our church is a mosque. And on Friday prayers, just gone, two of the Christian leader of our church, the vicar, and a member of the church went and spoke in Friday prayers. And then on Sunday morning, the chairman of the mosque came and addressed the church. And together they said, we are neighbours on our street. We have differences in our faith, but we want to protect each other and to care for each other. And we don't want each other to feel safe or threatened by the extremists of our community and of the people who would look for the problems. And I think that's an example. We see that in faith communities happening in this city and many parts in this country. And we want to see it with teenagers in schools and on streets, where they say that it's not a whole people group that are doing these negative things, it's one individual. And I want to stand by my friends who I disagree with on parts of our faith, but on so many things we want to have a safe and healthy world.
Politically, we can disagree. On many things in life, we can disagree. If we have 5 brothers and sisters in the house, do we agree with every point? No, we don't, right? It's our human nature to agree and disagree. That is the freedom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty, has given us, the human being. The farishte, the angels even don't have that great gift from God Almighty. To disagree is one thing. But, Brother Hakim, you tell me if I'm wrong. I want to ask those mullahs, those great sheikhs, so-called great sheikhs, who stand in the pulpit and the minarets and the mimbars, whether it's in Mecca or Medina, or Baghdad or Tehran, wherever it is, why they talk about greatness of charity and this. Where is their charity? The person whose life is lost unnecessarily for Muslims, killing Muslims. You see, these people are a bunch of hypocrites. These mullahs, I hope the Muslims are not listening, they will shoot me down, but they are a bunch of hypocrites. In Arabic language, in our religion, we call them munafiqeen. They bear the garb of a priest, but within that garb, they are a bunch of Satans. Those people who beheaded the enemy in Syria, Tim, they were not Jews. Tim, they were not Christians. Tim, they were not Hindus. Tim, they were not Sikhs. Tim, they were Muslims beheading Muslims and shouting, as the chap in London shouted, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allah is great, God is great. Condemnation must be made to those people, those mullahs who stand on the people and they preach about charity and humanity and gift of this and that, but their lips are sealed because their hearts of those hypocrites are sealed. It is they should condemn these atrocities, that at least if Muslims will learn to live with Muslims in peace, then they will tomorrow learn to live with peace with their Christian and Jewish brothers. Had it not been for the great prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at the time where victory was near him in sight, the Jews came and he offered them a laurel of peace treaty, and they agreed. His own followers said, no, don't sign the decree. The Sulh of Hudaybiyah, the peace treaty of Hudaybiyah, is a landmark in the life of our great prophet. He said, I will sign the decree of peace, because in his mind the peace is of much greater value than victory through the battle or a war. And he signed it. Hakim, is there no chance of us to follow the path of our great prophet and sign peace first amongst ourselves, then with our hope, with our Christian and Jewish and brothers of other religion and caste and creed?
I think definitely there is. You know, first of all, you need to start with yourself and actually be able to strive forward to actually do that. And we work with young people, we tell them for you to make peace with everybody. And it's a thing that grows. We work with young people between 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds. They're going to be the future leaders, the future adults, future parents, hopefully. So by us working with them young people, we are actually installing something which will have a longer lasting effect, rather than sort of working with, as you said, these mullahs and everybody who are probably much older. We work with young people who are the future of our city, our country, the whole world. By us working with young people and installing that, they can actually go home and talk to their younger brothers and sisters, but also they can talk to their parents. They can actually tell them about some of the stuff that we are doing. I've had young people who've come back and I've actually spoken to their parents and told them about the good work that they are doing with their other friends from other religions, other cultures, and how they together are doing things. So the parents sometimes think, hold on, if my son or daughter can do this, why can't I? So it's about installing.
We had a couple of young guys, Naheem ran a lads weekend, and we had some young guys come from a mosque in Moseley and some young guys from a church in Garrett's Green. And one of the things that happens is these boys live in communities that would not normally see another faith. And these Christian boys from a part of Birmingham came and they met Muslim boys by name. So they had to share a room with them, they had to hang out with them for a whole weekend. Those Christian boys went back to their church and they told the church about how they made friends with some Muslim guys. And the adults in the church said, no one's ever helped us make friends with Muslims. Wish we could do that. And a Christian lady in that church went and said hello to a Muslim receptionist at an aged care home as a result of those young boys meeting these Muslim boys. Now this white British lady had never said hello to a Muslim before because she was afraid, she didn't know how to. But some teenagers who found that it was possible to be safe in their own faith and identity, but to make friends with someone from a different community, helped their adult peers, their adult community, make friends, make peace, and cross the boundary of fear in order to make friends. And we think that young people are the hope of the future. We think that if they learn the skills and confidence and lead the way, they will have to impact their adults. They'll have to affect their parents and hopefully their communities to say, we're going to stand for peace, we're going to stand with our friends. Even though we disagree with them on things, we want them to be safe in our country and in our community. And so we think that there is an exciting prospect for our communities to be friends, even though we remain in our places of worship and in our communities, but to have confidence to be friendly across the boundaries.
Nobel Prize is given to great people, great amount of money, I don't know, $1 million and all. I wish I had those trophies to give, those medals to give, those prizes to give. I would feel greatly honored to pass it on to people like our brother Tim and our brother Naheem over here, and to those young boys and girls, those children, those leaders of tomorrow, those doctors and solicitors and field workers of tomorrow, that when they go with not Kalashnikov gun in the hand, but a laurel symbolizing love and peace in their hand. You too, watching this program, burn away those doctrine of hatred, destroy and bulldoze those walls of division and the myth of superiority and inferiority. Stretch out the arm, the hand of friendship. Grasp those tender fingers that hold the hand into a bandage of love. That was and that were the messages of our great Prophet and our Imams. They did that with their penance, with their prayers, with their love. Tim, if you allow, I will tell you a little story which I read to children to say, we think that if I become a great mullah and have a great cap on my head and pray instead of 5 times a day, 500 times a day, of course God will reward for our prayers. But for him, the love of humanity is far greater than 1,000 times my sajda on the ground. It is said in the latter narration of a story, there was an abid, a man who prayed great deals, and Prophet Muhammad was a Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Moses was passing, and he said, Allah, what a great worshipper of yours. One day, that man had disappeared, and Moses asked, what happened? Allah said he was praying one day, and there were few children who took a little chick, 1-2 day old chicken, right? And those innocent children caught hold of the chicken and they started pulling its feathers. And the chick cried out of pain. The abid, the worshipper, kept on ignoring it and praying to Allah, God Almighty. Allah did not like it. He says, O earth, part and take him to the 7 deep down burning part of that earth, destroy him. He saw something that had life, something that I created, not he, right? Something that he could have easily saved. He ignored it and carrying out praying to me. To him, my prayer means nothing, but saving a life of a chick is more important than Tim saving a life of a human being. How important it must be in the eyes of Allah or God Almighty. What is your message to those watching this program in a minute or two that you would like to say on behalf of Feast and in particular yourself to those who are watching this program?
Well, we want to thank you for the invitation to share about our work, and we do like the thought that many people around the world would watch our example and learn with us as we befriend our peers and as we help teenagers cross these boundaries to learn to live and express the best of their faith and to let their peers do the same, to overcome their own prejudices, to overcome the stereotypes or labels we post on other people, and build friendships based on trust. We hope that our work can influence much youth work around the world. Obviously across the UK, but in other countries where division happens, where our practices and our experience and our hard-earned lessons can benefit other contexts. We are helping some communities in Lebanon, and we've got friends in other countries where peace is far more difficult to achieve, but the little practices that we work here are having impact there. We would love your prayers. We would love your inquiries if you'd like to get in touch with us. Please check our website out. It's called thefeast.org.uk. Please consider investing in our work. If there are people out there with means, we would value trophies, but people's financial support would help our work and the sharing of our work happen to more places around the world. And please join us on the journey of helping young people become friends and become peacemakers. The little line that we often use is that anyone can support peace. In fact, everyone wants peace and says that they want peace in a conversation or from the comfort of their lounge chairs. But we want to help young people make peace, to put the effort in to overcome their own prejudices first, to put the effort in to forgive their brother or sister or their neighbour for the things that they disagree with, and to make peace possible. And that might be in places like the suburban streets of Birmingham, but it might be in other places around the world where peace is even harder and where the cost of doing that is even more pricey, but the reward is even greater. So thank you for the chance to talk about our work. We really appreciate it.
Hakim, what message, my brother, you have for all those watching this program, Faith Forum?
I think Tim said it really beautifully, but I like to add on some of the stuff is, I'm a youth worker. I work with communities. I think everybody should do that. Everybody should strive out and actually become an advocate of peace. Actually go along and actually do work as well. Actually go into youth work, do youth work for your community, for your faith, if it's your faith setting as well, and actually progress further as well. We are fortunate at the Feast that we are actually going to be running a program where youth workers, people who are working with young people already and they want to go into that profession, they can actually come along and actually gain qualification. We're running a program which is going to be called the Engage program, where we are looking for young people of faith, young people who are already working with young people in a faith setting or in a general setting that want to come along onto this program that we're going to be running from September this year, where they will get a qualification recognized by a university, where they can come along and actually gain a qualification where they can actually do work, similar work to we're doing, be able to be qualified worker to be working with young people as well. The program is called Engage. It's actually on our website, on the feast.org website. Everybody can go in there and actually have a look at the program. It's going to start in September, so there's some time away, where it's the stepping stone of going on to do the main degree course of youth work. I've actually done that myself. I'm a qualified youth worker where I've gone the degree as well, and anybody who wants to follow in the same footsteps can actually go along and actually go onto this course. And that does not mean that you get this degree and you come and work in Birmingham. You can work anywhere in the world and actually be able to use the same template and become proper peacemakers.
Brothers and sisters, as usual, I have run out of time and I have been reminded 3.5 times by the studio itself. The time is up. But I first of all thank you for watching this program, and I thank my two noble guests here. As I say, they gave Obama the Peace Prize. If I had, I would give these two guys the Peace Prize. Peace, of harmony, of interfaith understanding and love. Thank you very much. Much obliged. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.